What's up, San Diego? 10 o'clock on a Wednesday. Got a day game coming for you. Padres and Cubs, the rubber match of the three-game series here at Petco Park. Padres need to win it today in order to even up the series on the season. Padres trying to go 3-3 against the Chicago Cubs. Cubs trying to win the series on the season series 4-2. It will be a fun contest today, I would imagine. I mean, every game that we have seen between the Cubs and the Padres has been a great matchup. It's been great baseball, back and forth. I mean, fun games. I mean, last night was a fun game, even though the Padres ended up losing. It was a good game last night between two teams that are probably going to have to deal with each other in October at some point. I mean, if you want to win a National League pennant, you're going to have to get through Chicago just as much as like you're going to have to get through Los Angeles and some of these other teams. I mean, I know we've put them in the rearview mirror after going 4-0 against them, but Spencer Strider's pitching for the Atlanta Braves today as the Braves try to get things going and catch up a little bit after a tough start to the season. But you look overall at what happened last night, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that in just a little bit. But again, today's matchup at 1:10, Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt at 12:10 as we got Nick Pivetta against Matthew Boyd. As those two players will duel it out on the hill. Another left-hander. Padres have struggled against left-handers this year, and we could talk a lot about, kind of yesterday's results, again, against Shota Imanaga, who was really good yesterday for the Chicago Cubs. We're going to have Brock Ungricht on at 10:35, big series for USD Baseball coming up this weekend. At 11:35, we're going to have Matt Snyder of CBS Sports. Matt Snyder, one of the only guys in his power rankings had the Padres number one after last week. We'll talk a little bit to him about, national baseball and, what's going on around Major League Baseball and, why he thinks the Padres are the best team in baseball right now, aside from just, having the best record, and dive into some other trending topics in baseball as well. But I want to talk about last night's game. And, overall, it wasn't one of the best games for the Padres. It just wasn't, especially offensively. I mean, we'll talk about the pitching in a second. The pitching was good. In fact, it was borderline great. You give up 2 runs to the Cubs, you should be able to win those games 9 times out of 10. But offensively last night, not the best showing for the Padres. They had 1 run, 5 hits. Defensively committed an error. They got out hit 10-5. But the pitching staff did a pretty good job. I mean, they stranded a lot of runners yesterday. For the Cubs. I mean, the Cubs had double-digit left on base. They ended up leaving 14 on base last night in 10 innings. But you look at the box score, top of the order, 4 of the 5 in the top part of the order got your 5 hits, and then Iglesias got a hit later on, in the contest or, later on in the order. But you only mustered 5 hits against Chicago. It's a good pitching staff. Shota Imanaga looked great again against the San Diego Padres. And the Padres continue to have, not very good outings against left-handed pitching. The Padres have 4 losses this season. All 4 losses have come against left-handed starting pitching. All 4 of them. They lost the 2 in Chicago to Imanaga and Boyd. You're going to face Boyd today. And then you lost the 1 in Sacramento against the Athletics, where Springs, left-handed pitcher, was able to get the Padres. Now, a lot of that had to do with the fact that, Dylan Cease had the worst outing of his career. So starting pitching kind of let you down in that game. But again, another left-handed starter the Padres could not handle. And then again last night with Imanaga. Now, Imanaga is one of the better pitchers in Major League Baseball, so you can't overly complain too much about it. And people are upset about the loss last night, and it was a 2-1 game. And there was a couple friends of mine that they're acting like it was the AFC Championship game of their favorite football team, with a chance to go to the Super Bowl and drop it. It's April 15th, guys. The Padres are 14-4. They're not going to win every game. I mean, they look great at home all season long, but nobody's going undefeated at home. They're not going to win 81 games at Petco Park. I mean, that's absurd. Absurd standards. I mean, it's a tough loss yesterday. Didn't play that well offensively, but overall, it's baseball. I mean, it's really baseball. And the thing is as poor as the Padres played offensively last night, and there were some bright spots. I thought Manny Machado had a really good at-bat, but he had some bad at-bats yesterday too. despite the lack of offensive production yesterday, out of everybody in the Padres lineup, they had the tying run at third base and the winning run at first in extra innings. Here's where a couple things went wrong for the Padres last night. They had multiple at-bats with the bases loaded, and they couldn't score any runs. And that was Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts early on in the contest, where they couldn't get any runs out of it. They had Yuki Matsui in the 10th inning, serve up a triple to start the extra innings off. Obviously, you can't have that. I would argue, like Luis Arraez, who hardly ever swings at a first pitch, swung at a first pitch with runners on first and third and 2 outs in the 10th inning. That's not great. I mean, Connor Joe striking out looking, not great. Bunch of over performances, not great. And so overall, the fact that the Padres didn't play their best game and still were in a position to win shows the type of team that they're going to have this season. I know a lot of people were upset about last night, but I mean, it's one of those, that's baseball games. There's nothing really more that you can point out there. I mean, Manny post game, it's talking about like, hey, like it's just going to happen like that. I thought Manny battled really well in that at bat where he got the benefit of 2 errors by the Cubs in the same sequence, both in foul territory on dropped fly balls. Now, the one in the infield was difficult because at third base, Workman was playing deep and he comes sprinting in. And the ball, I mean, those major league pop-ups, those are not like, for major league players, they're they look very easy. But if you look at one of those pop-ups from a higher vantage point, you will watch the ball go back and forth and cover a significant amount of ground. I mean, it's a very difficult play to make, and running in on it was Workman, and that was going to be very difficult to handle. Went off his glove. And after the second shot of life, Manny, after, battling at the plate, and he's done a good job of that all year, was able to put one in the seats and get another home run for the Padres. Took a 1-0 lead, but then the Padres relinquished that lead immediately in the next inning. I think they left it out a little bit too long. I think they left Vasquez in a little bit too long. You got one of the best bullpens in baseball. I mean, but the kid was dealing. I mean, Vasquez was great yesterday. 5 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned, 2 strikeouts. Probably left him in a little bit too long than you needed, but it's early in the season, and the guy, you got to trust his stuff. So, I mean, hindsight's 2020. You could sit back and be like, maybe you should have taken him out at the time that they left him. They left him in maybe a couple pitches too, at batters too long, as that runner came around to score. But aside from that, I mean, you got to trust your pitcher and their stuff. I mean, they look good. Arraez kind of trying to make too many things happen in the infield on the play that the Cubs scored on, and then again later on in extra innings, just didn't go your way. So, I don't think it was that big of a deal of a loss last night. I mean, you're going to battle against this team all season, throughout the playoffs. You're going to probably have to deal with them in the playoffs if you want to make it to the World Series. They're a good baseball team. I mean, the Cubs are probably going to win the National League Central. I'm curious to watch them play, how they do against the Brewers, because I think they'll handle the Brewers. The Brewers are getting a little bit better. But you look at the Cubs, I mean, they just took 2 out of 3 from the greatest team ever assembled in the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, they went up to L.A., and they took 2 out of 3 from L.A., who hadn't lost the game all season at home either. And they've been on a little bit of a roll. I mean, the Cubs have taken 2 out of 3 from the Padres. They've handled the Rangers, who I think are the best team in the American League. They handled the Dodgers over the weekend. They're a good baseball team, and you try to bounce back and get them today. Now you're going against a left-hander. Now, see, that's where the Padres have a lot of issues. And we'll talk a little bit more about the left-handed lineup that the Padres roll out there. And they've had problems with their lineups against lefties. Today's lineup for the Padres: Fernando batting leadoff and in right field. Arraez is the DH. Machado playing third. Bogaerts batting fourth, playing shortstop. Gonzalez batting fifth. Iglesias sixth. Connor Joe gets the start at first base. Diaz catching. Wade in center field. No Hayward and no Yuli Gurriel today against the left-hander. They're going with Wade in center field as the lefty against the left-hander in Boyd. So that's a very interesting lineup today. I mean, I don't know how much longer you can roll with Yuli Gurriel. Another 0 for 3 performance last night. Padres, all of their losses this season have been with Yuli Gurriel in the starting lineup. Not his fault for the loss last night, but he's not really contributing too much for this team. The bottom half of the order has not been very good for the Padres. I mean, I think you've gotten enough out of the catching situation. They're both hitting over 200 right now, in Maldonado and Diaz. And you knew going in that the number 9 spot in the order was not going to be very good. But you got to get a little bit more production out of the bottom half of your batting order. I mean, especially with the injuries to Merrill and Cronenworth and some of your core key players on the injured list to start the season. So we'll see what the contest is, what we got today in store for the Chicago Cubs against the San Diego Padres coming up at 1:10. We'll take phone calls today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Talk a little bit about last night's game, get you a preview of tomorrow's or of today's game, and we'll be joined by Brock Ungricht and Matt Snyder for a quick 2-hour show leading up to the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We'll be back in just a little bit. This game day hour is brought to you by Crystal Geyser Alpine Spring. What makes Crystal Geyser Alpine Spring water different? We always bottle our Alpine Spring water less than 1.5 miles from the spring source, and all our bottles are made with 50% recycled plastic from our own recycling plants. Crystal Geyser, bottled at the spring source. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to have Brock Ungricht on from the University of San Diego. They got a big series this weekend against Portland after they've been on a little bit of a winning streak as the Padres go out of town this weekend to Houston and Detroit next week. Got some local baseball in town nonetheless, so we'll get a preview with him. Coming up in the next hour, we'll have Matt Snyder on from CBS Sports. He's got the Padres, the number one team in baseball, and the power rankings, which, again, is different than where you're at usually with overall records and everything like that. So we'll talk to him about what's going on in Major League Baseball. Spencer Strider, debut for the Atlanta Braves after doing a little bit of a rehab assignment to get the season going. He's pumping 98, 97 in on the hands right now against Toronto. So it might be the lift that Atlanta needs to get going in the season, which is another big spot and a big team to deal with for the Padres later on in the year. Good thing you already won the season series against Atlanta by sweeping them in the first 4 games of the season. But Atlanta could be a big asset for the Padres in taking care of a lot of different teams throughout Major League Baseball for him. Strider, it's just been dealing so far, but it's only the first inning. He's got 2 outs. He's trying to knock off Santander here with a 1-2 pitch and didn't get him to chase, but he's been disgusting so far. If you want to join the show today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Padres lineup is out for today's game. No Gurriel in the lineup against the left-handed pitcher. Interesting to see. Connor Joe gets an opportunity. Tyler Wade will be in center field. We'll talk more about the Padres lineup in just a little bit, but I want to get to your phone calls. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Jorge in Scripps Ranch. Jorge, you're batting leadoff on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden, how you doing?
I'm doing well. What do you got for me?
Yeah, so I was at last night's game, and, we had our chances to come back and win, especially in the 10th inning. But, I mean, after the loss yesterday, I just saw so many Padres fans just so negative and so mad, and I'm just like, chill, guys. It's the Cubs are good. It's just one game. We're not going to win every home game, and I feel like Padres, especially I was, on the Ben and Woods chat this morning, everyone was just being so negative about thinking, we were going to go and win every home game, and that's not the reality. So I just want to bring that up because, it's crazy the negativity I've been seeing this morning regarding the Padres. Got to trust the process. It's just one game. If we win today, we're going to go 3-3 against the Cubs this season. That's a 500 record against a pretty good team who's most likely going to make the playoffs. Another thing I want to bring up was last night the last time we see Gurriel in the lineup? Because, man, we have way better bats in AAA with Eggy. I mean, Campy's batting pretty well. I know there's a couple other guys that could be called up, but I just saw the lineup, and I'm glad he's not playing today because I'll be attending today's game. But do you think we saw Gurriel for the last time in the Padre uniform?
I think today's a little telling on that. Jorge, appreciate the phone call, man. Enjoy the ball game today. You look at the lineup for the Padres against the left-hander. I mean, this is what he was brought in to do. Where he's at. And I know somebody yesterday in the chat said, well, check his splits. He's actually better against righties. But, the Padres needed some guys that could go against left-handed pitching. And so that's why he was kind of on the team, to be the DH against left-handers because Gavin Sheets was going to be the DH against right-handers. I mean, that was kind of the situation for the Padres and Yuli Gurriel. And Gurriel's off to a just miserable start to the year. And again, Gurriel had a great major league career. Great major league career. He's trying to hang on and stay in the big leagues. But at hitting 115, for a team that is expected to compete in the San Diego Padres, a team that's 14-4 on the season, and a team that's in first place in all of Major League Baseball, you can't be dealing with Gurriel in your lineup anymore. Do I think that's the last we see of him? I think it's a very telling sign that the Padres, are putting Tyler Wade in the lineup and Connor Joe in the lineup and not having Yuli Gurriel out there. I mean, it's not even like, Connor Joe's playing the outfield. He's playing first base. So you look at today's lineup for the Padres, and I think it's very telling because, again, the at-bats that Yuli had were just not very good yesterday. They just weren't very good at-bats, and he hasn't really put together any good at-bats. He had a couple of good knocks. I mean, he hit the ball against Springs last week. It was a missile, but pitch came in at 92. And the ball he hit against Kyle Freeland, again, another soft-throwing left-hander, wasn't very, aside from that hit, he's only got 3. I mean, I can remember the 3 hits that he's had. He had the one that helped the Padres beat the Braves. He had the double or the one to the gap against the A's, and then he had the one against Kyle Freeland. That's it. I mean, the fact that I can name you the 3 hits that he has is not a good sign for Yuli Gurriel. Again, guy had a great major league career, but it's not going to work out. And they got other options. Connor Joe, that was a tough at bat yesterday. That's a tough spot to be in, to be a pinch hitter late in a game, just in general. But at this point, Connor knows that that's his responsibility. But that's his first. We can't just judge the guy on one at bat. We'll see what he's got today. And then, as Jorge mentioned, you got guys coming up in the minor league, AAA. Tirso Ornelas doing well down there. Eggy Rosario, of course, that you got down in AAA. And hopefully Padres can get a little bit healthier here, in the near future. But Jackson Merrill isn't going to be activated for this weekend. I mean, talking to Mike Schilt yesterday pregame, I think it might be a little bit more time before you start seeing Jackson Merrill in the lineup. I mean, hamstrings are tough. And the fact that he has just kind of started to jog a little bit, he's still at least a week away because he's got to get up to a sprinting speed. He's got to be able to do a lot of just, rigorous running, because the thing that re-aggravates hamstring injuries, as somebody that has had multiple hamstring strains and pulls in his life, is quick movement stuff. And in baseball, you don't realize how much you use a lot of your muscles until you have to use them, and you feel it on a swing, on a quick twitch. You feel it, all of a sudden trying to go and stop. I mean, there's a lot of things that your body, handles when you're healthy that you don't realize until you get hurt. And he's got to be able to pass all those tests. So it might be a little bit of time still for Jackson Merrill. I mean, I don't think it's going to be like a long, long time, and it sounded like it was more of a positive news in terms of his injury when it initially happened. So I don't think he's going to miss, 6 weeks, but he's still going to be a little bit of time. Got some positive updates from Yu Darvish. Sounds like he was throwing again. So good news on the front from the starting pitching side. Bullpen, as great as the bullpen has been, they got Hoeing and coming back potentially. I mean, he's back throwing a little bit. So they got good news on the horizon with him and Reynolds. Not to say the bullpen's been bad. I mean, the bullpen's been great. So, good to see. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. You look at the lineup for the Padres today. Fernando batting leadoff and playing right field. Luis Arraez bats second is the DH. Manny Machado playing third base, batting third. Bogart's in the cleanup spot, batting playing shortstop. Oscar Gonzalez is in left. Jose Iglesias plays second. Connor Joe's at first. Elias Diaz is catching. And Tyler Wade's batting ninth and playing center field for the Padres today. So we'll see what the Padres got in store against the Chicago Cubs. Again, if you want to join the show today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Again, if you want to talk about last night's game, or if you want to flush it, start talking about today. Again, Padres trying to beat a left-hander. That's been very difficult for them all season. The lineup hasn't been very good against left-handed pitching. A lot of it's kind of the bottom half of the order, but a little bit of a mix-up today. Connor Joe's getting a chance. Tyler Wade's getting an opportunity. They got Diaz in there catching Pivetta. And hopefully Pivetta can have a pretty good outing today for the Padres. And we'll see what the Padres have in store for us coming up. But I look at this Padres team, and again, they're 14-4. I think Padres fans can get upset as much as they want after last night, but it's not the end of the world. They're going to lose a lot of games like that. They're going to lose a lot of games that you feel like were right there for the taking, and there's going to be some games like that throughout the season. And I know you're going to go back at the end of the year if you end up missing a certain spot in the playoffs or maybe not making the playoffs. You can go back and look at some of these games like we had to win this game. It's not you're gonna lose 50 games minimum. Padres are going to win 50. They're going to lose 50, and it's what you do with the other 62 that are the difference maker for the season. Still the best team in baseball. Again, a win today, and they go 3-3 against Chicago, and you don't have to worry about them the rest of the year. And they're going to go wreak havoc on the rest of the National League. They're a good ball club. They got a good pitching staff. They got a good lineup that is very difficult to navigate. They are a very patient team at the plate, hard to pitch to that team, and you're probably going to have to deal with them in October eventually if you want to win a National League pennant. When we come back, Brock Ungricht from the University of San Diego will join us for a little bit, kind of preview their series against Portland. We'll talk more Padres baseball coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. Matt Snyder from CBS Sports will join us. His power rankings got the Padres near the top. We'll talk about that as well. Braden Surprenant show rolls on 97.3 The Fan. 10:33 on a Wednesday. Getting you ready for Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan. Coming up at 1:10 is first pitch. 12:10 is the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt. That'll be coming up after our show is concluded. I want to make sure you tune into, speaking of Ecowater, turn into the Manager's Report with Mike Schultz this Friday at 9 a.m. on Ben and Woods. The Manager's Report is refreshed by Ecowater SoCal. Try alkaline water for just $9.95 a month. Ecowater SoCal keeping it soft since 1925. From one manager in San Diego to a head coach in San Diego for the USD Toreros. He is the reigning 2024 West Coast Conference Coach of the Year as the USD Toreros try to defend their title in West Coast Conference baseball this season. The head coach of the USD Toreros, Brock Ungricht, joining me on the Braden Surprenant show. They get a big series this weekend against Portland at the top of the standings in the West Coast Conference here at home. So I'll kind of preview that series and then get you ready with more Padres baseball in just a little bit. But Brock, join me right now on the Braden Surprenant show. Brock, what's going on, man?
What's up, San Diego? What's up, Braden? How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on. Pumped to be on here.
Doing well. We'll get you, not probably not doing as well as you guys are that are, starting to turn things around a little bit in the last couple of games. Was up there with you at UCLA with a little bit of a thriller for your young squad and have turned it into a couple of wins here in a row. What have you seen out of your young club in the last couple of games as you beat UCLA, handled a nice Tuesday night, and then went up to St. Mary's and had a big weekend?
Yeah, I think I appreciate that. You've kind of seen it all year long with us, and it's just kind of waiting for the tide to turn, if you will, and our guys just keep staying hungry, and they keep working so hard, and they keep staying with one another, and they believe in the process too, and the results can distract you from what you're trying to do every day, and I think that's the message, right? Is we talk about a lot in our program is don't let the losing distract you, because you're good enough, and we believe in you, and just keep believing in what we're doing every day, again, in the weight room, at practice, so on and so forth. And that UCLA weekend was huge. We got it handed to us on Friday. We lost 50-2. And UCLA's 14th in the country, and then had a close one on Saturday, and then on Sunday, winning in extra innings and 14 innings on the road in that environment at UCLA. I think it just gave us a jolt. It gave our guys a jolt that finally something went our way for all the hard work and effort they've been putting in this far. And then it carried into Tuesday, beating UC San Diego, and then just coming off a sweep on the road at St. Mary's, a good team up there in Moraga. And as you know, it's hard to sweep on the road, and our guys came out firing. So it's nice to see.
Joined by Brock Ungricht of the USD Toreros, USD baseball head coach, on with us on the Braden Surprenant show here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We'll talk more about your current Toreros in just a little bit, but you got a lot of Torero alumni out of the baseball program that is playing at the major league level right now. I mean, we see Connor Joe just got the call up for USD back in the big leagues. Obviously a lot of the other known players throughout the league. Chris Bryant, unfortunately, just went on the injured list, but, you got Paul Sewald out there and a handful of others, which is great to see for the program. But added a new Torero last week in Chase Mydroth. Talk to us a little bit about Chase making his debut with the White Sox, and a pretty fun story on Friday. Chase makes his debut, and then his brother, Connor, on the ball club with you guys right now. It's his first D1 home run.
Yeah, it was awesome. So proud for all our Toreros in the big leagues, and they represent our program very well. And obviously what Coach Hill did prior to us getting here, and he's got so many major leaguers that have come through this program, and again, just represent the university in a first-class way. Connor Joe getting called up, just what an outstanding person and player he is. So I'm excited about seeing him here in San Diego. And then on to Chase, like you talked about. Chase, he was pretty much a walk-on. Nobody wanted him out of high school, and Coach Floor and myself were assistants at the time, and we were just like, this guy's hungry, man. This guy's got a chip on his shoulder. This guy can play defense, and he wants it bad. And bringing him into the program, that's all he did was just kind of chip away for his opportunity. Didn't play much as a freshman and sophomore in this junior year. He just had an outstanding junior year. Just handled the bat well and played a great second base and got drafted in that 4th round by the Red Sox, and he's never looked back. I mean, he's had just unbelievable minor league seasons the last couple of years. Got traded to the White Sox this offseason, as you know, and then got another taste of adversity. Didn't make the team out of spring training, and we texted back and forth, and he said, "Coach, don't worry about me. I'm good. I'm just going to be hungry, waiting for my opportunity." And then he gets his opportunity last week, and it was fitting because he's like a base on ball machine. He works the count, he draws walks, he has deep counts, 3-2 counts, and his first at bat was a walk, and then his brother played that night for us and hits a home run. So it was a great day for the Mydroth family and great day for Torero baseball last week.
Yeah, pretty fun story. I don't see a lot of those in sports, but what a cool moment for the Mydroth family. I know you got a lot of different big leaguers to go check out once your season is over, but obviously continuing again this weekend. Padres are out of town. They're playing the Astros, so local baseball in town, USD in Portland, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday matchup at Fowler Park, and a big series as Portland is right in front of you in the standings in the West Coast Conference. What to expect out of Portland this weekend, and what should fans expect if they want to go check you guys out this weekend?
Yeah, it's exciting baseball. I mean, Portland's been a dogfight the last couple of years with us in the conference. We were able to edge them out, and they finished second last year to us in the conference. And I mean, just the overall competitive team can really pitch, can hit, physical, and they're well coached and well prepared. So definitely excited about taking them on here in San Diego, not going up to Portland and playing them. And I think it's going to be a competitive weekend. We changed our rotation. We got Logan Redeman, who's 9th in the country in ERA as of last week, and he's got 1.7 ERA, and he's going for us on Thursday night. So he's kind of setting the tone on the weekend for us, and he's just been outstanding and kind of getting that first game under his belt, and so that'll be exciting on Thursday night, and then we'll finish the weekend on Saturday, 12 noon, with a little Easter egg hunt for the kids after on beautiful Fowler Park, riding the wave right into that beautiful Easter Sunday in San Diego. So yeah, definitely come out and check us out, check out the Toreros, and I think we're playing some good baseball now.
Brock Ungricht, USD baseball head coach, joining us on the Braden Surprenant show. We talked about a lot of the pros for USD. Padres have one right now in the minor leagues, and Jack Costello, off to a pretty decent start for his career as well. Heard some great things from different people in the organization about Jack, but just kind of maybe a future Padre on the horizon. What can people expect out of Jack Costello, who's part of the Padres organization now?
Yeah, I think that was, the Padres, obviously, we have a close relationship with them, and them doing their homework, us right in their backyard, and Jack's such a just tenacious worker. I mean, the guy holds the standard, right? Holds the standard on everything that he does. I mean, he's first one here, last one to leave, in the weight room all the time, just total competitor, high school football player. It comes from that kind of that gritty mentality, like I'll prove you wrong, and he's done that, and it's cool to hear the feedback from the Padres too, how much they love having him there, and I wouldn't be surprised he's going to work himself up the ladder pretty quick, and just because again he believes in himself, and he's kind of he has that mindset that why I can do it, yeah, I'll keep giving me an opportunity, I'll show you, and he just plays hard, he plays the game the right way, and he's a first class young man, and I couldn't be more proud of him for what he's doing thus far and making the most of his opportunity.
Last thing for you, Brock, since we are a show that's affiliated with the Major League Baseball team, and draft's going to be in the summer, who are some of the Toreros that are currently on the team that are having good years and have bright futures to potentially be, maybe representing a different organization in the near future after the draft and after some signings?
Yeah, I mean, I believe we have the best hitter in the West Coast, and one of the best ones in the country, and our first baseman, Jack Gurvich, and he's a left-handed hitter, and he's done nothing but hit the ball to all fields, out for power to both fields. He can handle velocity. He can handle off speed. He's actually our leadoff hitter, so we can try to get him as many at bats as possible in the game. But he sets the tone for us, and he's a Cape League All-Star last year in the Cape Cod League. And you've seen it. We've faced, 4 of our non-conference weekends have been against top 20 teams. So it's 96, 98 miles an hour and the best stuff that you're going to see in the country. And all he's done is hit anywhere from 360 to 400 all year long, and the power's there too as well. So he's going to be an exciting player, and again, just the guy can flat out hit. So he's going to help a ball club in the future here. Hopefully it's San Diego, but he's going to be a fun one to watch. And then Austin Smith, I think he deserves a chance, man. I mean, that guy's just putting up is another great year with the bat offensively. Hitting the middle of the order for us, power, hitting about 360 for us, and he's doing exactly what he did last year during his All-American campaign last year for us. So I think those two guys will have a great shot. And then we got some young guys, some super young, talented sophomores. Again, kind of going through that learning phase, but a year from now in that 2026 draft, Isaiah Lane, our shortstop, Eastlake High School product, and then Logan Redeman. A sophomore arm for us has just been, again, outstanding as a sophomore, 9th ERA in the country. So, again, just the product of coming to this program and believing about winning and being together as a family takes the pressure off them individually, but then all of a sudden it comes back to them in their individual accolades that they receive by focus on trying to win championships. And I'll tell you, you pinch yourself as a coach, and our coaching staff does too, that we're blessed to have such awesome players with awesome people a part of our program.
Brock, I appreciate the time as always. You got a big weekend in front of you on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We appreciate the time and look forward to seeing you this weekend.
You know how much I appreciate you, and the city does too, man. So you're doing a great job. Keep it going.
Thank you, Brock. Appreciate you very much. That's Brock Ungricht, head coach of the USD Toreros, joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Big weekend series for them against Portland. Again, Padres are out of town. They're going to be playing in Houston. Got a good opportunity to watch some local college baseball. USD is going to have a big series against the Portland Pilots. You got a team that plays exciting baseball in USD, put the ball in play and grinding out at bats with some of the lot of local talent representing the University of San Diego. So they will be playing Thursday night at 6 o'clock at Fowler Park. They will be playing Friday night at 6 o'clock at Fowler Park, and then a noon game on Saturday, followed by an Easter egg hunt for your kids. So you got young kids, and it's an affordable place to go watch a game. Go check out the USD Toreros this weekend. And again, a big thanks to Brock Ungricht for joining us. We talked about, and I'm gonna talk about some other things in the next hour. Matt Snyder will join us at 11:35. But we talked about some of the downside of last night. We've talked about some of the good things about last night. I think one of the good developments that we're seeing for the San Diego Padres is Randy Vasquez. I mean, Randy Vasquez is doing a great job for the San Diego Padres as a, relatively a number 5 starter in the 3 spot in the rotation. I mean, he's been absolutely outstanding all season for what he is. I mean, I think I mentioned it last year. I think he had a bright future for the Padres, and he's one of those pieces that you got in that Juan Soto deal. But to start the season, already a 0.8 WAR to start the year. He's 1-1 with a 1.74 ERA in 4 games started. I mean, I look at a guy like Randy Vasquez, who gave you 20 starts last year, and I thought he would need to help the ball club out this year a little bit in some capacity. And I thought he would do well. But to say after 4 starts, he's got a sub-2 ERA and a 1-1 record, I can't believe how good of a start he has had to the season. Now, with Randy Vasquez, his biggest problem is walks. And he's got, and this is obviously one of his issues. And you can't have this. But 14 walks and 8 strikeouts. I mean, the strikeout to walk ratio is not very good for Randy Vasquez with the 14 walks and the 8 strikeouts. That obviously needs to change. He's got a 0.57 strikeout to walk ratio. And, he doesn't have a lot of, at least statistically, hasn't had too much swing and miss stuff so far this year. I mean, a lot of balls in play, but he's got to be able to hone his command a little bit more But I like what I see out of Randy Vasquez. I mean, the guy's going out there and battling for you every single start. He gives you an opportunity to win. It gave you a great opportunity to win last night. But the 14 walks is a little bit of a problem, I think, for Randy. He's notoriously had that. I mean, he had 29 walks last year, 18 walks in the 11 games he pitched for the Yankees in his debut in 2023. But he's already got a 0.8 WAR, and he's off to his ERA plus is 2.27. An average pitcher in Major League Baseball is 100. His is 2.27 to start the year. I don't know if he can. I mean, he's not going to sustain a sub-2 ERA the rest of the year. He'll probably, they'll boost up to, anything around a 4 or under. I think you're getting a lot of good outings out of a guy like Randy Vasquez. And as mentioned in Kevin Acey's article about, Mike Schilt talking about him, he gives us a chance every day. We know we're going to show up at the ballpark and have a chance to win. He had a 4.87 ERA in 20 starts last season. He has a 1.74 ERA after being charged with 1 run in 5 innings last night. And, the 1 run was, a difficult play by Arise where, he almost ends the day with a 0 on the board against a very, very good Chicago Cubs team. A Chicago Cubs team is very patient at the plate. They could walk a lot. Randy Vasquez stranded a lot of runners. Padres pitching stranded 14 runners last night for the Chicago Cubs. Bullpen's been good, but starting rotation with guys like Randy Vasquez, he has been exceptional for what he is. And I think he's got a bright future for the San Diego Padres. Manny Machado said it last night. He's been great. He's been attacking the zone, commanding his pitches. Again, he gets a little wild sometimes, but definitely confident up there on the mound, trusting his stuff. I think a little bit last year, he kind of just didn't trust it. And this year, you see that confidence up there, him going up there and competing and forgetting about the outcome, just going out there and competing. Vasquez has been a lot better against lefties. That was a problem for him last year. He has been, way better. His MLB worst 365 average last year that he allowed to left-handed hitters in 2024. But this year, batters working from the left side, hitting 250 against them. Right-handed hitters hitting 129 against Randy Vasquez. Media talked to Randy Vasquez last night through their translator, interpreter Jorge Merlos. And Vasquez had to say, I just believe in myself. I think I've been able to get on that plan of attack, and I've been able to locate well in the zone. That's another big reason why this Padres team is going to be successful throughout the year. He's one of the better pitchers for the Padres. Kyle Hart had a good bounce back. Nick Pavetta's looked great at home for San Diego. Now, let's see how Nick Pivetta does today against the Chicago Cubs. Since they got him last time, he got a little wild in Chicago. But if he can have another bounce back outing and build off of his last outing that he had last week against Colorado, which, Colorado's Colorado. They're not very good in general. His Padres pitching staff has been electric. Bullpen's been great. If you want to join the show today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Talking Padres baseball as we get you ready for first pitch between the Padres and Cubs. Padres trying to even up the series at 3 games each. Go 3-3 against Chicago. Cubs took 2 out of 3 from the Padres at Wrigley Field, and now the current series is tied at 1 here in San Diego. You're basically watching a playoff series in real time right now. It's Game 6. Padres got to win Game 6 to try to keep the series alive, even though they only play 6 times this season. But they're going to be a team that's going to be in the postseason by far. There's no way that they're not going to make the postseason, barring any major injuries. To the Chicago Cubs, they're a good team. You look at the National League in general. It's got the best teams in it. And even John Heyman said last night, just with the National League West, this might be one of the best divisions ever. It's still early in the season. Things can go awry, things can change, but very interesting to see the John Heyman comment from yesterday, as he tweeted it out as, not a lot of the big dogs ended up winning last night. It was a 2-2 split with the top 4 teams in the National League West, with the the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks winning and the Padres and the Giants losing. But John Heyman said the NL West, maybe the best division in years. Can't really recall any better. It's a beast. It is a beast. It's going to play for exciting baseball throughout the rest of the season. But Padres off to a good start. I know a lot of people were upset after last night, but you're going to lose some of those games. Had the tying run at third base, and he had the winning run at first in extra innings. That's a pretty. I mean, there's not much more you can ask for. Just didn't get the big hit when they needed the big hit. They got one early with Manny Machado to take a 1-0 lead, relinquish the lead. Cubs got the big hit in the extras. Padres missed on the big hit. It is what it is. There's a tough ball game last night, for the Padres, and you got to get ready to bounce back for game 2. I mentioned earlier in the show, but lineup today does not have Yuli Gurriel in it, which is very interesting for the San Diego Padres. I already had one caller call in and ask if we've seen the last of Yuli Gurriel. I mean, we'll see how he does, see what the lineups look like in Houston. But if you're not going to start him against left-handers, what is his role really on this particular club? So we'll talk more about today's game. Now to get your phone calls, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Tell me what you think about the Padres club. 14-4 to start the year. We'll take your phone calls when we come back, get you some more of a preview of game 3 between the Padres and Cubs, and Matt Snyder will join us next hour. Final hour of the Braden Surprenant Show, sending us number 1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Final hour of the Braden Surprenant show. Oh, he's host. Oh, what? No tag. We got the Braves Blue Jays game on right now. Braden Surprenant with you as we carry up to first pitch and the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt at 12:10. Padres baseball at 1:10 right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Oh, that's pretty close. I think you got him. Braves and Blue Jays are playing during the day. Today's Wednesday baseball is very much a lot of day games in Major League Baseball. Thursdays are like no games in Major League Baseball. Padres, another off day tomorrow. Surprising. Shocker. They only play 8 games. Yeah, he's out. Vlad Guerrero tried to swipe 2 on Atlanta. They said no dice. Tomorrow will be the roundtable at 10 o'clock, as we will all be joined together. A roundtable, hopefully talking about a series victory over the Chicago Cubs. Padres will play the Astros over the weekend down in Houston. We got a jam-packed show on Friday already, and we will have a full report on the Houston Astros coming up on Friday. They'll play the Astros, and they'll play Detroit before coming back to San Diego and play 2 games against San Francisco. That's the next week for the San Diego Padres. But we have the roundtable tomorrow, and then Brett Rippon, backup quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, will join me in studio. He's already throwing out some topics he wants to discuss. He says he's got some hot takes to lay out for us about a lot of different things. I saw him today. He had him and Jordan Love were working out at Fitness Quest, where I work out on Mondays and Wednesdays. And Jordan Love let the hair breathe a little bit. He's got the afro going. It was a great look. We're gonna have to dive into that tomorrow too. Exactly. I mean, he looked like he was straight out of the 1970s. It was pretty impressive. I told him he's got to clean his hair up again like he had it before, and then all of camp. And then when he gets to week 1, just for warm-ups, just let the fro out again. It was a great look for Jordan Love. I think I was like, dude, the fro plays. The fro plays. So we'll talk more with Brett Rippon tomorrow. He'll be joining us in the 12 o'clock hour. Talk some NFL football with him, a little bit of the draft. He's got some takes on what's going on in college football, but he also he's a big Padres guy now, living here in San Diego. So we'll talk a little bit of Padres baseball with Brett Rippon as well. Interesting nugget from today's daily newsletter from Kevin Acee, again about the Padres and their inability to hit left-handed pitching, at least from the starters. So last night, Padres fell to 3-4 in games started by an opposing left-hander. They face another one today in Matthew Boyd, who beat them on April 5th with 6 scoreless innings. And as mentioned by Kevin Acee in his article, it's not necessarily the lefty starters that are the problem, but the Padres lineup against lefties just isn't as strong as it is against righties, which we talked about last week around this time after the Padres struggled against the Cubs over a weekend series in which the Padres did not win the 2 games against left-handed starters. And they didn't win the game against the left-handed starter against the A's, and then again last night. Padres are 14-4 in the year. They're 3-4 in games that Yuli Gurriel starts, but that's basically just because they're going against the left-handed starting pitcher. I don't think Yuli's played very well for the Padres. I don't know how much longer that experiment is going to continue, but it's not just him. He just happens to be in the lineup for that. But here's some of the stats that Kevin Acee put in his article that he researched. Padres lead the major leagues with a .292 batting average against right-handed pitching. That includes a .304 average against righty starters. They're batting .248 against left-handers. It is lefty relievers that are getting the best of them as they are batting it is lefty relievers that getting the best of them as they are batting .264 against the 7 left-handed starters that they have faced. So they have actually done pretty well against left-handed starters compared to left-handed relievers. But the left-handed starter lineup that they have put together is not one of the better lineups that they could put together. You know, you have to force a handful of players into the lineup. It's not like a recurring lineup for the Padres. And again, they haven't done well against lefties for last year into this year. Today's lineup, Fernando Tatis Jr. batting leadoff, followed by Luis Arraez as the DH, Manny Machado batting third, and at third base. Xander Bogaerts is the starting shortstop, batting cleanup. Oscar Gonzalez in the 5 spot, playing left field. Jose Iglesias batting 6th, and at second. Connor Joe batting 7th at first base. Elias Diaz is batting 8th and catching, and they're going to go with Tyler Wade in center field and batting 9th. That's today's lineup against the Chicago Cubs, going against Boyd, who was very good against the Padres last time out. Boyd against the Padres had a lot of success, and again, it was, I'm pretty sure he went against Pivetta in that game. Because, Vasquez went Friday against Imanaga. It's the same matchups that we had, at least in these 2 games, as we had in Chicago for the first 2 games in Chicago. But Boyd, in his outing against the Padres, as I'm pulling it up right now, on the year, he's 1-1 with a 1.59 ERA. Against the Padres in a 7-1 victory for Chicago on a Saturday at Wrigley Field, he went 6 innings, did not allow a run, 5 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. He did hit 1 batter. He finally gave up runs in his last outing against the Dodgers, which was a 3-0 loss. Didn't get any run support as he gave up 3 runs on 4 hits in 6 innings with 7 strikeouts. But he was really dominant against the Padres, again with the left-handed batter or left-handed pitcher being a problem for San Diego this season. I look at the back end of the lineup for the Padres, and it's been like this, the entire season. Whether it's a Yuli Gurriel or it's, whatever catcher that they have in at the moment in time, or a Jose Iglesias, or, whoever it may be. I can't believe, we were talking about this with Chris Ellie yesterday. It's honestly shocking with the lineup that they have 6 through 9. Being 14-4. So I can't believe the start that they've had with some of the guys at the bottom end of their order. I think you're getting enough production out of the catching position with Diaz and guys like Martín Maldonado, but Brandon Lockridge was at 194 before he got hurt. Jose Iglesias has been spot starting. He's off to a decent start. You got Jason Hayward hitting a $190 to get this season started. 525 OPS and a 50 OPS plus. He hasn't been very good. Yuli Gurriel, again, when he starts against lefties, which he's not starting today, he has a 5 OPS plus right now. I don't know how much longer you can continue the Yuli Gurriel experiment. Going down the list, just other players. Tyler Wade's been okay, but he hasn't had a lot of opportunities as you just got pulled up. You look at, guys like, Oscar Gonzalez has done okay so far. He's actually done pretty well. He's hitting 364 with a 727 OPS and a 109 OPS plus. But the bottom half of the order has been okay for the Padres. And it's kind of a major hole. They got to get some guys healthy very quickly. It'd be nice to see some more production out of the bottom half of the order. But overall, the Padres, again, they're hitting the ball well. They had a bad night last night. And we'll see what they got against the Cubs today. Again, talking Padres baseball. If you want to join the show, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I like starting Joe. We had Rick Kane's ghost in the chat. Thoughts on starting Joe today? Should we be more worried about our lineup 6 through 9 or our stars staying healthy or returning to health? I think you should be a little concerned with it. But at the same time, as I mentioned to Chris Ello last night, because he's the one that pointed out, the bottom half of the order, and it's shocking that the Padres are 14-4 at the bottom half of the order, is the bottom 3 of the Dodgers order last year was not very good. They were not very good all year. And the Dodgers were able to win a World Series. As long as you get really good production on the top 6, but that puts a lot of pressure on the top 6 in the order, or the top 5 in the order. And what was really given the benefit of the doubt right now is the fact that Fernando's already got a 1.5 WAR to start the season with a 354 batting average and a 1073 OPS and a 202 OPS plus. That's really where you're at right now. That's a big reason for the success. Hopefully getting Jackson Merrill back, but you look at the way that the Padres built their roster and what they were saying out of camp was like, we really expect the top of our order to do most of the damage this year. Whatever you can get out of the bottom is what you get out of the bottom. But again, if you want to give us a call today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll get out to our phones right now. Juan and Vista on the Braden Surprenant Show. Juan, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Braden? I'm just calling because I feel like last night's game was indicative of everything bad we've seen from Yuli Gurriel. And I kind of wonder, once Crone comes back, why are we wasting our time with Yuli, and why not just bring up Eddie Rosario or even DH Jose Iglesias instead?
Well, I mean, there's you do have to make some roster moves with guys coming back off the injured list. And one, I appreciate the phone call. So Yuli's probably going to be one of those players when they bring back Jackson Merrill, Jake Cronenworth, some of these names on the list. Eggy Rosario has to be added to the 40-man roster. He's currently not on that. So in order to bring Eggy Rosario up, you have to put somebody on the 60-day injured list or take somebody off the 40-man roster to put Eggy on. And there are some players that are now on the major league roster that don't have options to get sent back down to AAA that you have to pass through waivers again. Guys like Tyler Wade, guys like, Oscar Gonzalez has that clause of being on the big league roster by a certain amount of time. So you got to see how those guys do. Or you have to be able to, part ways with those players again when you decide to pull those particular players up, like a Tirso or a Nellis or an Eggy Rosario. I would imagine that Yuli Gurriel is probably the first to go in the sense of when you bring back a Lockridge or a Merrill or a Jake Cronenworth. So we're going to talk more about that. And I see a lot of people chirping about Xander Bogaerts. I'll have my take on that when we come back as we get you ready for Padres baseball coming up at 1:10. Pregame show at 12:10. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt at 12:10 with Padres baseball at 1:10. As mentioned, Matt Snyder will join us at the end of this hour. We'll talk more about Xander Bogaerts when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Baseball coverage on 97 through the Fan is presented by T-Mobile. At T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. This hour on 97 through the Fan is brought to you by Crystal Geyser Alpine Spring. What makes Crystal Geyser Alpine Spring water different? We always bottle our Alpine Spring water less than 1.5 miles from the spring source, and all our bottles are made with 50% recycled plastic from our own recycling plants. Crystal Geyser bottled at the spring source. A lot of people upset with Xander Bogaerts last night because he didn't drive in the runs with runners on base, and the loss is on Xander. Let's talk about Xander Bogaerts a little bit more because people, again, they're like, well, what about Xander last night? Xander Bogaerts, didn't have that great of a night last night. He was 0 for 4. But again, with the Xander hate, I just think people hold him to an unreasonable level of expectation. And when he doesn't reach this unreasonable level of expectation, people just go like, the guy sucks, he's terrible, get rid of him. Well, you can't because he's on your team. And he's locked into a long-term contract. So you might as well root for him. But that being said, since a lot of people like to root against Xander Bogaerts because they want to be proven right about the player, even though everybody was super stoked when the Padres signed Xander. Now, there's a couple of you that weren't. I know a handful of people that weren't super stoked about it. But let me ask you this question, and you can put it in the chat. If you had to rank the Padres players in terms of just position players, of what you would expect to be like the best player through, and who should have the highest WAR, the second highest WAR, the third highest WAR, the fourth highest WAR, the fifth, all the way down. Who should have the best WAR on the team? Or wins above replacement. Comparing a player to a replacement player. Who would be the best player on the Padres? The best player should be Fernando, correct? Go ahead, tell your radio. I can't hear you, but tell your radio. Go ahead, put it in the chat. Give me a call. The best player on the team should be who? Should be Fernando. Fernando's the best player on the team. He's the best athlete on the field. I don't think anybody's got any questions about that. He is the best player on the team. He should have the highest WAR. He does have the highest WAR currently on the team. He has a 1.5 WAR to start the season. Again, this is going to progress as the season goes on. You look at number 2 on the list. Who should be the second best player on the Padres? Who should be the second best player on the Padres? After Fernando, if you had to pick the second highest WAR on the Padres, who should it be based on contract and everything else? It should probably be Manny Machado. Correct? Maybe Jackson Merrill. It's probably Manny. You're paying Manny a lot of money. He should probably be the second best player behind Fernando. Asking Manny at his age and where he's at in his career to be better than Fernando would be unrealistic expectations, especially with Fernando in his prime. Manny would be number 2. Again, I don't think there's that many people that argue with that. Who should be the 3 best WAR player on this current Padres team? I'd probably say Jackson Merrill. You're not paying him as much. He took a team deal. I mean, it's a very team-friendly deal. You extended him, but he is a 22-year-old center fielder for the San Diego Padres. He could do a lot. He should be number 3. I think you can make the argument in a couple of years he probably should be number 2. And guess what? He is. He is number 3. So that leads to number 4. Who should the 4th best player on the Padres be? Again, just position players? You're kind of in Xander Bogaerts land now. And who is currently the 4th best player of the Padres via WAR? It's Xander Bogaerts. So, somebody in the chat was like, well, is anybody could defend his 0.3 WAR? Oh, do you know how WAR works? I mean, what level WAR do you think you should have right now? If you, really want to buy into WAR, I think it's a interesting stat. I think it's kind of a silly stat, but it's a good way to evaluate talent. Should he have the 4th? Yeah, he should. So he is. He's the 4th highest rated player based on wins above replacement on the San Diego Padres with a 0.3. It's more of a lineup construction thing than anything else, or a roster construction thing. Now, I saw somebody in the chat point out, again, the guy's making over $20 million AAV. That's not his fault. if you look at, and I pulled this up yesterday, if you look at what Xander Bogaerts has done during his career, you're getting what he has done, with the exception of you're not getting the same level of play at shortstop. You are getting relatively the same offense as you got from Boston, with the exception of his best year. When you sign a guy to a contract who is, at the time, 29 going on 30, you're paying for his 30s, you would expect you're going to get slightly less production than what you got when he was in Boston. Slightly less. And again, you can't keep comparing what you're getting out of Xander Bogaerts to what he did in 2019 when he had a career year. That was the best year he ever had at age 26. What you can look at, though, is probably the other years that were mixed in, where you could get his average per season, and that's what you're really paying for. Again, this is what you're really paying for. A 284 batting average in Boston, excluding 2019. A 343 on base, a 772 OPS, and a 106 OPS plus. When you take out his best year in 2019, which is an outlier year, that's the player he was. Right now, in 2025, he's hitting 270 with a 365 on base, a 365 slug, a 730 OPS, and a 110 OPS plus. He is relatively the same player he was in Boston. He's slightly worse defensively because he's older. So when you look at the metrics of what he was in Boston, excluding 2019, when he had an insane year, which you should never expect out of an aging veteran, you are getting exactly what you paid for. Now, the conversation is not whether or not, it shouldn't be whether or not Xander Bogaerts is a good player. He's a good player. If you're mad that you're giving him $25 million a year, you should be mad at the front office for giving him $25 million a year, a contract that nobody else gave him. Not mad at Xander Bogaerts thinking he needs to be something that he's not. He's not. This is what he is. This is what he's been. If you look at his first year in San Diego, again, you can't evaluate last year fully. He's only been here for 2 years, and last year he battled injuries and he missed time. He still hit for a high average, at least in this day and age of Major League Baseball. He still hit 264, which back in the day isn't a high average. In this day and age, it is. But you look at 2023's numbers, a 4.2 WAR, a 285 average, which is right on cue for what he did in Boston at 284, a 350 on base, which is right on par with the 343 career on base that he had in Boston, a 440 slug, which is better than his average in Boston. Again, those are the numbers excluding 2019 because those are outlier numbers. And you look at his OPS of a 772 career in Boston to his 790 OPS as a Padre in 2023. This is the player you paid for. This is what you paid for. So again, you can complain about him all you want. If you want to be mad, you be mad at the Padres for giving him $25 million. Like giving a 30-year-old $25 million a year for what that is and for slightly less, that is a little bit more on the front office than it is on Xander Bogaerts himself. So again, I'm just defending the whole situation at hand with Xander Bogaerts. But you look at the numbers, you're getting what you paid for. You overpaid for it, but you got what you paid for. It's like, you literally, you bought a 2-bedroom house in Santee for $1 million. And then you get to the house in Santee and you're like, well, this is like a $500,000 house. Well, yeah, it is. Why isn't there more bedrooms? Why isn't the backyard bigger? Why isn't this? Well, this is what you paid for. You just overpaid for it. So again, he's on the team. They're not trading him. Unless you want to start giving me solutions to the shortstop problem in the future. Again, they're just killing time until Leo comes up. If you want to argue that starting him at shortstop is detrimental to the team because Iglesias is a better defensive shortstop, I will listen to that argument. But setting a high standard of Xander Bogaerts needs to hit over 300 with 30 home runs, he was never that player to begin with. You just got to ask for him to be the player. If he could play to the level of his career numbers, he's doing what he was supposed to do. That's the player that you paid for, but you overpaid for him. You could be mad that you overpaid for him, but you can't be mad at the results that he's putting up when they're the exact results that he was putting up as a Boston Red Sox. Everybody thinks about the 2019 season of his. You were never going to get his 26-year-old self when he's 33. I don't think you're going to get that with Jackson Merrill when he turns 33. I don't think you're going to get that when you get Fernando Tatis Jr. at age 33. So unrealistic expectations, I think, really sets the precedent for the Xander hate. And that's the whole point I'm trying to make. You have to lower your standards a little bit because, again, I factored out the 2019 season. Those are his career numbers in Boston, and that is what you got in the first year in 2023. It's the same thing. Let's get to the phones. Brad Escondido wants to weigh in. Brad, what's going on, man? You're on the Braden Surprenant Show.
Hey, Braden, how are you, man? Hey, good breakdown, but, the price tag comes with some expectations. I was at the game last night. I saw Manny strike out twice with a guy at third, less than one out. Saw Bogaerts do the same thing. As veterans, they've got to put the ball in play. I know Manny hit a home run because the catcher dropped the ball, but you can't always go home run. You got to make contact. There was a ground ball up the middle late in the game that Bogaerts didn't get. Tatis would have got. There was a throw the day before that he two-hopped at the first base, made a great play, doesn't have the arm strength. Move him to second, put Wade there, put Iglesias there, somebody else. But I think at shortstop, it's a stretch.
Well, shortstop, I mean, at his age, probably not. Xander did put the ball in play in those at-bat. One of them was in foul territory, so not really. That was a kind of pop-up and a strikeout. To me is the same.
Yeah,
the other one was a double play. But again, even though he's getting paid more, if you decided to pay him more money than everybody else, you can't expect him to play better than what his career numbers are. You can't expect him to be better than what he is because you decided to pay him more than anybody else was willing to pay him. That's the argument I'm trying to make here is you paid for what he is. I mean, you could go sign anybody else in baseball. You could go sign whoever you want, and you can pay him a ton of money. You can overpay for him like a lot of teams do. But that doesn't mean he's going to play to the level of your expectations of what you paid. And a lot of people, and Brad, I appreciate the phone call. That's a great phone call. They go, well, he's making $25 million a year. He should be hitting 30 home runs. Well, he's not. He's never been that player. So is that on him or is that on the unrealistic expectations because you overpaid for a player that was never going to do that in the first place? It's the same thing with Eric Hosmer. I mean, you do the same thing with Eric Hosmer's numbers. I mean, he was not like a 35-plus home run hitter. And the argument is, well, he's getting this kind of money. He should be hitting that. But he was never that player to begin with. You're getting what you paid for. You just overpaid for it. Tim and Miramar, my advanced scout, as we continue to evaluate the Padres. What do you got for me today? How's your boy Yuli doing?
Right, hey.
Just as well as my boy Xander, huh?
Hey, easy now, my brother. Easy on me. Give me a chance. Anyway, still a beautiful day in Padre land. Best record, first place. We're alive. We're all good. Hey, 2 points, if I may, if you will allow.
Yeah.
First one, they struck out 11 times last night. That was just a brutal at-bats, top to bottom, through the whole lineup last night. Vasquez did his job. The bullpen did their job. They should have scored at least 2 runs last night, 1 in regulation. It's the way it goes. But that was on the offense last night.
Absolutely.
Since you brought up Bogaerts, and I wasn't going there, but I will give you something real quick as I'm trying to do this. In his career at Boston, he drove in 89 runs, 62 runs, 103, 117, 79, and 73 RBIs. He was an RBI guy, and that's what wins games. Doesn't matter when you get it. It matters when you get a hit. not if you get a hit. He's had 58 RBIs. That's his highest total in San Diego in like 150 games. 44 last year. Granted, he was out. And this year he's got 5, which extrapolates to about what? 40, 50, 60 maybe? He's not driving in the runs. Okay, so you're right about the one season, but I'm sorry, and I agree about the contract, but I will give you a different point of view. He's not driving in the runs, and he was an RBI machine through his whole career in Boston, and now that's gone too, which is a real bummer.
Well, Tim, I got to get to a break. I appreciate your phone call. He has no control over who's on base when he comes up. And they got to be in scoring position. If he continually comes up with a runner on first or nobody on, how many RBIs is he going to have? So the real stats you got to look at is what he's doing with runners in scoring position. Now, if you want to argue that he hits like a buck, 25 with runners in scoring position compared to 315 in his career in Boston, then yes. But like the RBIs, you got to get at, you got to come here with some numbers like what he's doing with runners in scoring position. I would agree with that. He's got to be a lot better with runners in scoring position. That's worth the money that you pay. But RBIs specifically is a stat that he has no control over because other players have to get on base in front of him. We'll look at those numbers. I'll see what I can find. We got Matt Snyder coming up next. We got to get to a break. Braden Surprenant Show rolls on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 11:40, getting you ready for Padres baseball coming up at 1:10 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan, and the flagship of the San Diego Padres, flagship radio station. We'll have the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show coming up at 12:10 with Sam Levitt right after we are done here on the Braden Surprenant Show. Joining me now on the Braden Surprenant Show, he is a writer, talker, Hall of Fame analyzer, power ranker for CBS Sports MLB is Matt Snyder. He has been a friend of our station on multiple of our shows, and we now bring him on the Braden Surprenant Show for the first time. Matt, thanks again for the time. We really appreciate it. How's your day going?
Very good so far. I just wrapped up. We were doing a live gambling show for like an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm raring to go here. I'm already warmed up. I had an hour and a half warm up of talking about baseball.
Well, that's awesome. So we're going to get started with the power ranker. I mean, this week I looked at a handful of power rankings, very much a sports talk segment in our industry. You do rank for CBS Sports, and you were one of the lone individuals that decided to put the Padres at number one after the week they had last week, after the start they have gotten off to. A lot of outlets want to put the Dodgers still, and I asked the question, can the Dodgers do anything wrong to not be number one throughout the entire year? So you got them at number one, the Padres. Well, what was your reasoning behind that? What have you seen out of San Diego so far in their hot start?
Well, it's a bit annoying to me that people act like we can't move teams around. If we're just going to do based on talent or based who we think is going to have the best record at the end of the year, then we would never hardly change them, right?
Right.
And I would just have the Dodgers number one all year. What's the fun in that, first of all? Second of all, the Dodgers had lost, I think, 6 of 8 at the time or something. Like, they just lost a series to the Cubs at home. They just lost a series to the Nationals on the road. Why am I supposed to leave them at number one when they lost a series on the road to the Nats and then lost a home series when the Padres at the time were undefeated at home? And their only series loss was to the Cubs, but it was on the road. That's different than losing the Cubs at home. While the Cubs are a good team, it seems to me if you both have series losses to the Cubs, the better team is the one that took it on the road instead of took it at home. So that was where my rationale was. It was not strictly just on best record. It's always a confluence of factors, but honestly, like, one of the main ones was it was a lot more fun than just mindlessly throwing the Dodgers number one.
You got to get creative with that's otherwise it's just have the standings do it. But I appreciated the movement around, and that's why I had to ask the question. I mean, if you lose 16-0 to a team at home that is a good team, and that doesn't knock you out a number one spot, I don't think they'll ever get knocked out.
And they lost
the
series
spot.
too. It's not
right.
Like they won 2 out of 3 and the game was just an outlier. Like, the Dodgers went 2-4 in the week, including a loss to a bad Nationals team, a series loss to that Nationals team. It was hard for me to contemplate everybody who was yelling at me saying they had to still be number one.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm a Matt Snyder supporter. You could have had somebody else at number one. I'd still be supporting the power rankings in that particular case. We'll talk about the Padres just a little bit, but just overall in the National League, I mean, and to go back to your power rankings, you have 6 teams in the National League at the top, and the National League has been, far better than the American League. I think a lot of people expected that going into the season, but did you expect the National League to jump out to such a great start? And even most notably in the National League West, where you have 3 teams in the top 6.
So I definitely thought heading into the year, the National League was the much stronger league. If you looked at who do you feel like could represent the league in the World Series? In the National League, I think you were looking at 3 teams in the East, and the Braves, Phillies, and Mets. And obviously the Braves have been terrible so far, but they're still really talented. In the Central, I think you could have said, the Cubs look like they're going to be really good. They could represent the National League. In the West, obviously the Dodgers. I trickled down to the Diamondbacks a little bit, and then maybe if the Padres get hot at the right time, I don't think the Giants are going to still hang around. But regardless, I don't think we're being swayed by small sample successes here. I think this was a league that had a lot of strong teams heading into the year. And if you went over and looked at the American League side and you said, what team are you confident in being the AL representative in the World Series? I think you get a lot of blanks. I mean, once you heard Garrett Cole was hurt for the Yankees, were you confident in them? Were you confident in the Red Sox, the Orioles? Were you confident in anybody in the Central? Were you confident in the Rangers, the Astros in the West, the Mariners with their offense? I don't know, man. It was a league full of question marks for me. So Obviously, it's only a small sample. We just passed the 10% mark of the season, so there's a lot of baseball left to be played. But I thought heading into the year that the National League had most of the power in terms of the best teams, and I think that remains the case.
Writer for CBS Sports.com, Matt Snyder, covers Major League Baseball, joins us on the Braden Surprenant show. And, you mentioned the American League. To me, there's some surprises, and again, it's a small sample size, but, you look at Baltimore with all the young talent that they have, a lot of young offensive talent. They have kind of hoarded the talent in terms of keeping players instead of trying to address their pitching situation. They're at 6-10 to start the year. A little bit of a disappointment, I would imagine, for most Orioles fans. But that to me has been the most shocking start, I think, to a season, at least from a negative standpoint for the American League. What's the deal with Baltimore? Obviously, they didn't address pitching, but some of the young guys that they have over there, they're trying to win with a young, talented roster, and pitching be damned.
They built one of the best position player prospect caches that we've ever seen in Major League history. And they did trade some from it to get Corbin Burns last year. They did trade one good player to get Trevor Rogers, which it was probably misguided. Where was the knockout punch for Garrett Crochet last year? When there was talk in the first 2 months that the Tigers might trade Tarek Skubal, they would not dangle Jackson Holliday. They would not dangle Kobe Mayo. Why are they hugging so many of these prospects instead of trying to win now? That window with Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson is not going to be open forever. You've got to supplement. Look, there's two reasons to have a lot of good prospects. Number one is so they develop into major league players. Obviously, the Orioles have done a great job with that. The number two reason is once you have a good major league team, then you trade from that cache of prospects to get major league talent. And if you go back to when the Astros and the Cubs about a decade ago were getting ready to be really good, one of the things they did was supplement their great position player core prospects with pitching via the trade. When it was the Astros with Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander, with the Cubs, they went out and they signed John Lester and John Lackey in free agency. The Cubs made some trades as well. Kyle Hendricks they got from a trade when he was in the minors, for example. The Orioles, again, they got burned for 1 year. But other than that, they didn't go out and pay what they needed to get Dylan Cease like the Padres did. They didn't go out and pay for Garrett Crochet the way the Red Sox did. They didn't try to make a heavy move on Tarek Skubal. They didn't go out and circle around and go back with Jack Flaherty the way they did the year before. And the Dodgers won the World Series with Flaherty. It seems to me they should have been a lot more aggressive in addressing the pitching staff to match up that window with the position players.
Writer for CBS Sports.com, Matt Snyder, joining us on the Braden Surprenant show, kind of talking about a lot of things in Major League Baseball. To focus back on the Padres, I mean, obviously Tatis is off to a great start. They've gotten a lot of good production out of players. The pitching staff has been great. 14-4 start, a little surprising, I think, for Padres fans in terms of being the best record in baseball in the small sample size. What are some reasons that you think, watching from afar, the Padres are going to be able to keep pace with the rest of the National League?
First of all, I mean, obviously they need Jackson Merrill back. And I don't think it's going to be that much longer, but the strides that Tatis has made, going from being a very good player the last couple of years to being this guy that we thought he was going to be when he first came up, into this super duper mega MVP caliber type player every single year. It looks like he's going to be that guy this year. So you start there, you go on down. As I said, you need Merrill back, but he looks like he's taking another step forward after last year. And then Manny Machado is Manny Machado doing Machado things. Cronenworth kind of might have his groove back at the plate. So offensively, it looks like it's just going to be a really good team all year. Pitching wise, obviously with the Musgrove and Darvish injuries, it was let's patch some things together. But Michael King looks like he's developing into an ace at this point. I mean, he took strides last year, especially in the second half of the year. In the playoffs, he looked like an ace. So far, he looks like an ace. Vasquez, man, looks great so far. I mean, let's get those walks down.
Yeah.
But other than that, looks really good. I think Pivetta, great late signing there. And some of the things I try to do when I look at teams that are playing really well is everybody going too well? Are some guys going to fall apart? And you always find a couple guys like Vasquez, probably not going to continue to be this good. But the flip side is, are there guys who are not playing like they can? Well, let's look right at Dylan Cease, and you say Cease is better than this. So if Vasquez gives a little bit back, Cease picks that up. So I think what you're looking at is a team that has staying power. And to start 14 games over or 10 games over 500 with 14 wins in their first 18 games, they've already built up a little bit of a cushion here. So if there's a backslide, a bad stretch coming up, they've built up a little bit of a cushion to withstand that. So I think they're in really good shape to make the playoffs. Sorry to say, I don't think that they're going to win the division. I think that's going to be the Dodgers. But the Padres have beaten the Dodgers in the playoffs before, and they had them on the ropes last year. So this is a team that can make some noise in the postseason. I think that everybody should be very excited about this team.
Matt Snyder, writer for CBS Sports, covers Major League Baseball with us on the Braden Surprenant Show. I mean, obviously everything out here in San Diego right now is sunshine and rainbows with the start that they have had. And, and you mentioned a lot of good points of why they'll be competing. And I think most Padres fans agree with you probably on the division thing deep down, but they're holding out the hope at this point in the year. In terms from like a negative side, I mean, the bottom half of their order is not something to write home about. They went into the season going, we're really going to just have the top half of the order kind of carry us right now and then hope the rest solidifies, kind of where they're at in their money and with kind of cutting the spending and being close to luxury tax. I mean, do you think AJ Preller's got his his work cut out for him coming at the trade deadline to try to improve the bottom half of the order? I can't imagine them not making a move for that bottom half that is starting to turn into automatic outs.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to have to be on the cheap, right? And so you never know, like thinking about Jose Iglesias, for example, last year, the Mets had no idea he was going to be so amazing for them last year. So what you have to try to do is try to win the lottery with somebody like that. Maybe there's another team is dangling who's having an off year and the Padres grab him and hope they catch lightning in the bottle there. But let's say everybody's going right. Once Merrill comes back, you're looking at Arias, Cronenworth, Bogarts, Machado, Merrill, Tatis. That's 6 names that you can probably say can be above average hitters. And then Sheets, he's fine. If you're going to sit him in the 6 or 7 hole or something like that, that's a perfectly adequate player. So you still have the catcher spot left. So we're really only talking about, can you find a left fielder from somewhere who can hit? And so that's the big question. And again, it might be a matter of try to grab somebody in the cheap and see if you can catch lightning in a bottle, or if Lockridge or Hayward starts hitting a little bit better, which I don't really see that, but you never know. I think you can really boil it down to just kind of one spot and just, is there going to be a left fielder available on the cheap?
Matt, appreciate the time, man. As always, look forward to talking to you again. Keep up the good work at CBS Sports, and look forward to the next conversation. Thanks again.
All right. Take care.
Matt Snyder, CBSSports.com, joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show, talking a lot of things with Major League Baseball, obviously. The Orioles in the American League, amazing to me that they haven't tried to invest in any pitching and build around what they have. I mean, I don't know what they're holding on all these guys for. They don't even have enough roster spots for them, and they're just rotting in the minor leagues. I mean, you could have like an entire autopsy on the American League right now to try to figure out what's going on with them. I mean, but there's like 3 teams tied for the lead in the American League total. They're all division leaders of the Yankees, the Tigers, and the Rangers, all at 10-7. It's a wide open race in the American League. I think Matt Snyder said it best with the conversation of, who did you trust the most in the American League to get the job done? There's not a lot on there. I mean, Baltimore's expected to be a competitor for the AL East crown. They're off to a tough 6-10 start. That's one of the worst records in the American League. They're in last place in the AL East. Again, small sample size early in the season. At the Los Angeles Angels, a half game out of first place. National League is where it's at. I mean, the National League, the World Series champion's going to come for the National League. The Red Sox hype, Brandon in the chat, he goes, I didn't get the Red Sox hype this year. Who else are you going to pick? Yankees without Cole. I mean, the Blue Jays haven't been very good in the last couple of years, haven't been able to add to their roster. You look at the other team, like this AL Central is just not good. I mean, one of the teams expected to compete was Cleveland. Padres wiped the floor with the Guardians. in the opening week. Tigers have been one of the better teams in the AL Central, but that division is a mess. AL West, again, you go through it. I mean, just Red Sox, I guess, just by process of elimination with the Crochet signing after the trade that they got, like, hey, maybe this is going to be the deal. But interesting stuff from Matt Snyder. We do got a couple more things that we got to do before we pass the baton to Sam Levitt, the Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show. He's live from the loft today down at Petco Park. So if you're heading down to Petco a little bit early on a little bit of a lunch break to watch the Padres today against the Chicago Cubs, go up to loft and check out Sam. Go say hi to Sam for us. But before we get to the sports thread, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Braden Surprenant show on setting his number one sports station, 97 through the Fan.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
This is Manny Machado from the San Diego Padres.
Machado with his second double in as many innings. The Padres play here on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan and Odyssey Sports Station. You know that group chat, the one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
Bringing Adam Klug, who always runs the best sports thread in the land. What do we got today? Lunchtime hour on a Wednesday.
Number 1.
Hi, Braden.
What's up?
Clayton Kershaw made his AAA debut for the Dodgers today, pitching in Oklahoma City, and tossed 3 scoreless innings, allowing 2 hits, no walks, and he struck out 2 hitters. What are realistic expectations at the big league level for Clayton Kershaw this season?
I think a bigger question is like, who's coming out of the rotation for the Dodgers when he shows up?
Are you quibbling with the questions that I asked?
I just.
Fine.
Is he
answer
gonna,
that question?
Is he
Why
gonna,
don't you just put the sports thread together from now on?
No, I'm gonna answer both of those questions. When is he gonna pitch for them? Who are they taking out of the rotation?
Braden, if you were Dave Roberts, who would you take out of the rotation to make room for Clayton Kershaw?
I'm just saying. I just think like I can't set realistic expectations. I don't know when he's gonna pitch. Somebody's getting bumped. That's just the wealth that they have up there. I think like 15, 20 starts and like a under 4 ERA. I think that's fair for Clayton Kershaw. I mean, he's been okay the last couple of years. I mean, he didn't pitch until July 25th of last year after undergoing offseason shoulder surgery. In his 7 starts, the left-hander was 2-2 with a 4.50 ERA and a 1.500 WHIP. I think anything under a 4. Anything around a 4 ERA or less is probably what he's going to do. I think that's realistic expectations for Clayton Kershaw.
Number 2.
The Warriors beat the Grizzlies 121-116 in yesterday's NBA play-in game as Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler combined to score 75 points. As we learned yesterday, the Warriors have won 4 of the last 10 NBA titles and look like a totally different team since trading for Jimmy Butler. Look into your crystal ball, Braden. How far do you see the Dubs going in the playoffs this year?
I thought they looked pretty good last night. Watching the highlights against the Grizzlies, I think they can make it through a couple of rounds. I'm going to go with getting past the we got the Rockets, right? In the first round. I think probably the Rockets. They'll make it to the second round. That's it.
Number 3.
There was another playing game as well involving my Atlanta Hawks.
Did you watch it live? Did you go to TVs?
By the time I actually got home, it was the middle of the third, fourth quarter. I had 2 TV. I had a TV and an iPad going, but they were getting their butts kicked. They made a run. They got to within 3 points, but they ended up losing by 25. But no one's talking about the final score, though. Everyone's talking about Trae Young getting ejected with just under 5 minutes left in the game. Young picked up 2 quick technical fouls, one for rifling a chest pass at referee James Williams. Then the second came moments later when he deflected the ball with his foot and wouldn't give it up promptly to the ref. After the game, The ref told a pool reporter that Trey received the second technical foul because he made a mockery of the game, which had many fans up in arms. Do you think mockery of the game is a justified reason for ejecting a star player from a playoff game?
I think mockery of a game is worth a technical foul. Was that what the second one was to get him out of the game?
Yeah.
The fact that it was
resulted in him being ejected.
I mean, if he's having a temper tantrum, yeah, I think it's worth it. I mean, that's more on Trey Young to handle himself down 108 to 87 when he was knocked out of the game. I mean, be a pro, dude. I mean, you can't be a kid and have a temper tantrum. There's consequences to your actions. So, I think for disrespecting the game and acting like a child, it's worth being ejected for. I mean,
number 4.
It's worth ejecting him for. It's not worth getting ejected for if you're Trey Young. That's on him for not being a leader.
It's worth a T.
Yeah, it's worth a T. I agree.
What position Travis Hunter will play in the NFL has been a widely discussed topic after the two-way star played receiver and cornerback at Colorado en route to winning the Heisman last year. Hunter told CBS Sports yesterday that he would quit football if he can't play offense and defense for the team that drafts him. Braden, if you were the GM or head coach of the team that drafted Travis Hunter, taking into account how he feels, how would you utilize him?
I just think it'd be very difficult. I mean, I think you could give him a chance in camp. I think you let him have a chance and then let him realize if he can't, he will slowly start to realize he won't be able to do both at an elite level if he can't. But I think you might as well give him a chance. I don't really buy his bluff, by the way. I don't see him turning down generational wealth. And what is he going to do? Just go home and sit on the couch? Just be done playing football?
Didn't earn a college degree, did he?
I know. No, he didn't. So, or maybe he did. I don't know.
He went 2 years at Jackson State and 2 years at
Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah, he might have got a degree.
Graduated.
You know, maybe he wants to do something else. But I would call his bluff. I mean, let him try it in camp. If it works out, great. And if not, he'll probably understand. It's like, this is a lot of work to be able to be elite at both sides of the ball in the NFL. It will play itself out. But there's no risk in really giving him a chance in camp.
Number 5.
The other day you said you weren't very interested in Netflix's Brett Favre documentary. Well,
no.
The streaming platform just announced a new sports documentary in their Untold series, detailing the time Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenden both brought guns into the Wizards' locker room and nearly got into a shootout, resulting in them both being suspended for the rest of the NBA season. On a scale from 1 to 10, what's your level of interest in this Netflix sports documentary?
Probably 7 or 8.
There we go.
I don't know too much about it, but that's kind of wild. That's some wild stuff right there. Shootout at the OK Corral. That's insane. I'd probably be more interested in that for sure. What are we at? We're out at 4. We're about to be finished here. Padres will be taking on the Cubs, Game 3. Stay positive, Padres fans. You still have the best team in baseball. Today's a big game for the Pods. Take 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. Go 3-3 split. Let the Cubs go handle the rest of the National League. You're in a really good spot. If they lose, it's not the end of the world. Off day tomorrow. Rest and relax. Get you ready for the Astros on Friday. We'll have the roundtable tomorrow, and Brett Rippon will join me in studio. Here's EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show coming up next. 97 through the Fan.